Hey guys, so Eric of Eric's Every New Day had posted a video about turning 25, and I thought it was a pretty good introspective video because he talked about the idea of a quarter life crisis. And it really resonated with me because I actually went through something similar a few years ago, and I called it my midlife crisis without a crisis. So it started when I started asking a lot of questions, and it's not necessarily that I don't ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions in the first place. I'm a devil's advocate kind of guy. But that being said, these questions were a little bit different. They're the kind of questions that can really make people uncomfortable if they really take the time to consider them and think about them. I started asking kind of these questions of myself. I want to say probably in like around 2008. It started off really with me kind of evaluating what I wanted to do in my career, and I asked myself, is this the right job for me? And I think that that's a perfectly natural thing for people to ask, but the thing is that when you ask that type of question, you're asking something that is like at the root or at the heart of how people identify themselves. When you talk to people, one of the most common questions that people say is, well, what do you do? The most common response to that is typically a person's job because that's how they identify. And so when you really start to explore that and say, is this really the right job for me? You're asking a question of potentially something very fundamental about yourself. So if you really start digging in to find an answer, the next thing you know, you may be asking some questions that, again, are going to make you really uncomfortable. Questions like, am I really happy in this relationship? Am I even happy at all? What am I doing with my life? The thing was, is I started asking a lot of these questions because I really wasn't happy and I didn't feel like I had a good plan, and was talking with other people and had kind of seen how their lives were going and how their plans were working out. So it made me question things. It made me ask those questions and say, am I really happy? And the answer was no, I really wasn't happy. Yeah, that happens to a lot of people, but what happened next is probably actually what's more important, because I didn't freak out. I didn't go out and I didn't cheat on my wife. I didn't go out and I didn't buy a Corvette. And I didn't start doing drugs or partying incessantly or anything like that. All I did was I decided to figure out really what I wanted to do. And so that's why I call it my midlife crisis without the crisis. Because I didn't freak out. I didn't do any of those things that sometimes people do when they feel like they need that change. So I just decided to figure out the solution in a pretty logical manner. And I know that's not really exciting. That's, oh my God, that's boring. I know. It's not like, oh, you didn't freak out and like go out and do some crazy stuff like, start doing heroin. Yeah, I know. It's not exciting. Instead, I looked at it fairly rationally and I said, okay, well, what needs to change in my life? What do I need to do? What really is not making me happy? And I had to have a very heartfelt conversation and a very deep conversation with Christine, and I was very lucky that she was willing to listen and willing to talk, and she was mad at me, and she had every right to be mad because I hadn't been communicating. I hadn't been bringing these things up. I hadn't been talking to her, and so she at the time was like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe if you feel like you couldn't talk to me, that's fine. Maybe we don't belong together, because it's not something that I should have let go as long as I did. We should have had the conversation much earlier. And I think maybe people have a hard time with that. I think people have a hard time maybe having that conversation to say, should we really be in this relationship? Are we really happy together? And I think, honestly, if more people had that conversation, they'd probably be leading happier lives. And sure, it's uncomfortable, but you have to do that because life is too short. Now, we took a look at it and we said, well, what changes do we want to see? And what are the things that we want to see differently? And we started working on that, and we started building on that, and we started talking, and we're in a much better place than we were then, that's for sure. And I'm in a much better place in general. I started taking a look at things in terms of saying, okay, do I really want to be doing this? Do I really want to be doing this job? And the answer was, yeah. I mean, I liked my job. And so I kind of doubled down on it, so to speak. I got really into it, and I got pretty heavily involved. And what I found is that if I look back on the way that my career's kind of gone, my career hasn't really been something that I've really planned out where I've gone and I've said, no, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go for that job, and I'm going to get this experience doing it this way. That's not me. That's just, I could do that if I really felt intrinsically motivated to do that, but honestly, more often than not, I just want to follow that intrinsic motivation that I feel at the time. And that's one of the things that even got me video blogging. That's one of the things that got me into my career that I'm doing now, because at the time I was doing more of the software testing, and I've moved more into a process role at this point, which allows me to do education and things like that. And so that's been a good evolution for me. And I've found that just kind of flowing along with how things roll and taking advantage of those opportunities when they come up and when they arise, and following that intrinsic motivation of doing the things that interest me at the time really helps to kind of just move me along in that direction. What I would say is I think I agree with Eric in his conclusion as well, as far as what his plan is for his next 5 years. His plan is to be happy. And that's really what my plan is, and really what I want to do for the next 5 years. I just want to be happy. And I'm going to follow the kind of the flow of how things go, and follow my intrinsic motivations, and do what interests me, and see where that takes me. For me, that's what I found actually really seems to work. But I do have to take an active role in my life. As I said the other day, I don't want life to be a distraction from the terminality of itself. And when I said that, what I really meant is I don't want my life to just be something that is going on that kind of keeps me distracted until I'm ready to die. I don't want to do that. I want to live life actively. I want to go out and I want to do things, and I want to see things, and I want to live life to its fullest, and I want to hang out with people and do cool things, and I want to talk about those things and have deep conversations and be silly and stupid sometimes, because that's important too. But what I don't want to do is just kind of go along and be ho-hum and boring and just kind of day in and day out and living my life, because that just is not good. That is going to get me back to where I was if I just do that. If I'm just satisficing and trying to distract myself from the things that are bothering me. I need to address them, and I need to fix them, or I need to walk away from them, or whatever, however they need to be addressed. I need to make sure that I'm living my life to a very full degree. And I'm very excited that I have friends who want to do that with me. And so I would invite you, let's do something cool. So that's everything I want to talk about midlife crisis without the crisis. How about you? Have you experienced something like this where you just all of a sudden realized, hey, I'm not happy and I need to fix this? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're there, click on like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.